So let's practice solving equations using the square root method. So remember, in order to use the square root method, we're going to get whatever the squared thing is by itself. That's the isolation principle. Anytime we want to apply a method, that thing needs to be by itself on one side equal to everything else. So in our first equation right here, 10x squared minus 50 equals 0, we're going to add 50 to both sides and divide by 10 to get that x squared by itself. So we get x squared equals 5. That's now that the squared thing is all by itself, we can use the square root property. Remember, the square root property says to undo a square, we use a square root. So we take the square root of both sides. But how many answers am I supposed to get to this squared question? I'm supposed to get 2. And there's only 1 now. So what's the rule? If you take the square root of both sides, don't forget to add plus or minus. You're supposed to have 2 answers. And adding plus or minus means a positive square root of 5 and a negative square root of 5. That's 2 answers. Let's look at our second equation here. Again, the thing that we need to isolate is the thing that is squared. You cannot square root everything right now. You will get absolutely positively the wrong answer. It is not allowed. The only thing we could do is square root this whole side, which doesn't do any canceling. So get the square root by itself. So we're going to subtract 80 from both sides. And just like with an absolute value, you cannot distribute this 5 into a squared because then it would be squared when it isn't squared in the original thing. So the thing that we need to do to get that thing that is squared in parentheses by itself is to divide both sides by 5. So we get 3x squared minus 5 is equal to 200 divided by 5, which is 40. Now, in order to undo the squared that is on that 3x squared minus 5, we are going to take the square root of both sides. And that is going to give us 3x squared minus 5 is equal to, and what do I have to remember? When I take the square root of both sides, I have to add plus or minus the square root of 40. Simplifying the square root of 40 will be 2 square root of 10. You can use your calculator to do that simplification or recognize the square root of 4 is 2 and 4 times 10 is 40. Now, we are not done yet on this problem. Oh, I've added a squared where I didn't need one. Sorry about that, everybody. We're not done with this problem yet because we still need to get x by itself. So we've got this thing over here and we need to undo a minus 5. So we're going to add 5. Now, your temptation is to add 5 over onto the right of this, but generally speaking, we're going to keep the 5 in front of the plus or minus. So when I add 5 to both sides here, it's going to look like 5 plus or minus 2 square root of 10, just because generally speaking, we put whole numbers first and square roots second. Then to get the x by itself, we're going to divide both sides by 3, and we get 5 plus or minus 2 square root of 10 over 3. And the question is, how many answers is this? This is 2 separate answers. And the way that you're going to type this into My Open Math is you're going to have to type it 2 completely separate answers because this is 2 answers. So we're going to have 5 plus 2 square root of 10 over 3, comma, 5 minus 2 square root of 10 over 3. And we could put both of those into our calculator and we could actually come up with like decimals for those. But there are 2 answers here. That's what I want you to keep in your head. When you take the square root of both sides, we need to add a plus or a minus.